Each year, tens of thousands of Americans die by gun violence, and the numbers are rising. The Gun Violence Archive tracks data from all across the country. It says last year the number of people killed with a gun was 20,902, and those numbers do not include those who died by suicide. It's up by more than a third since 2019. Good evening and welcome to News Center Maine at 5:30. I'm Sam Rogers. Chris and Zach have the night off. Maine may not be the first place you think of when we talk about gun violence, but it's certainly not immune. And the state has seen multiple shootings in the last week alone. News Center Maine's Jack Molman takes a closer look at the investigations underway and whether there are anything that points to this being a trend.
You can clearly see in some of the videos that are out there on social media that there was a good crowd out there. People were kind of watching. You could see one person get struck and appeared to hit the ground.
Early morning Sunday in Bangor, a shooting right near Half Acre Nightclub and Diamond's Gentlemen's Club. Police say it all started as a fight until bullets sent everyone running, including the suspect. Then just 2 days later in Portland, police went to Woodford Street after calls came in about an argument.
It was loud though, the bangs were loud because the neighbor heard it too.
A man and a woman both shot, with the man laying in the street. He later died. The shooting is now being investigated as a homicide according to state police. And on Thursday morning, Lewiston police responded to Arch Avenue where they found a 24-year-old woman with a gunshot wound. Police say her injuries are critical. 3 episodes of gun violence in just 5 days, and neither the Bangor incident or the Portland fatal shooting have led to any arrests. But University of Southern Maine professor Brendan McQuaid says it's not enough to call it a trend.
What matters is the long-term trend, and the long-term trend here is pretty stable. If it becomes three murders a week every week, like that's something of note.
According to the CDC, Maine has the highest firearm mortality rate out of any other New England state besides Vermont. Professor McQuaid says the pandemic may have made domestic issues worse.
The person who's most likely to violently victimize you is someone you know, and you probably have a good idea of who that person might be.
The police departments from this week's incidents wouldn't comment on the increase in shootings, but Portland police say it's working to compile shooting data. Jack Molmud, News Center, Maine.
Now, any sudden rise in gun violence can be unsettling. That's why it's important to dig a little deeper and get some context. So let's take a look at the U.S. as a whole. This chart comes from the Pew Research Center. Keep an eye on the gold line. That tracks the U.S. gun murderer rate. It tracked up in recent years, hitting 6.2 per 100,000 people in 2020. But that's still well below the rates the U.S. dealt with in the early 1990s, and it's far below the 7.2% recorded in 1974. So gun murderer rates are high compared to recent years, but still below historic highs.